coming to you live from the Thunderdome, somewhere in Australia. We are here today with the final day of Masters Coliseum number 6. 24 have entered. 3 remain, but only 1 will leave. And we are going to figure out which is the first one that will not leave. I'm not sure I was going to that. I am your host, Yakuzaku, and with me today is also the host, El Cesar de las Cosas que Corre con los Lings, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
What's up, Yaku? It is great to be back with you once again. It's been a while, Papi. It's been a while since we've been able to cast together. But, as you mentioned, this is the final day, the last day, the finale here of the Masters Coliseum. This event has been running for over 2 weeks. I think 3 or 4 weeks, including all the qualifiers as well. And we have 3 players left. You know, we've whittled away at the entire player base here, and we have 3 players left standing.
We do. One of them spawning over here in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner Dragon Scales. We, of course, have representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN.
And sporting in the bottom right-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the opponent we have representing Team Basilisk, the Finnish Zerg player himself, the last Zerg player in the entire tournament. It is Serral. Yeah, I know we were able to cast some Master Coliseum earlier, like a couple of weeks ago as well, together, Yaku. But it's great that we're able to at least, experience
yeah. One of the groups. I don't really remember which one that was. I think that was the ZvT group.
Yeah.
We did together. That was, whew.
Yeah, and I mean, there are still some Terran players left as well, so I'm glad you're able to join me here for the end as well. And yeah, we have seen Serral actually go on a bit of a tear. Last night, I don't know if you were able to catch many of the games, but last night it was actually pretty insane. The results that we were getting in. 3 zeros across the board, including Serral 3-0ing Maru.
Yeah. There were 4 best of 5s being played out last night, and every single one of them, 4 best of 5s played out last night, and every single one of them was a 3-0 one way or another. It was honestly insane to witness, especially looking at the lower bracket matches. I was expecting players like Baxpax and Clem to, make those matches a little bit closer, but in the end, something was in the air last night. I was even expecting ByuN to make that upper bracket finals a lot closer, to be honest, but something in the air just dictated, no, has to be a 3-0, and hopefully that's not going to be the case today as well.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I hope that we have more back and forth. I hope we get, more of a competitive overall series here, whether it's this series, the grand finals as well. And already we're kicking things off with something cheeky. So ByuN, he did go for a Rax expand into a second Rax. He's skipping his SCV scout. He's skipping his Reaper scout. He's going straight into a third Rax behind this as well. And a fourth. Oh my god.
I love this idea. I think you were the one who kind of caught the fact that in recent days, players like Serral and, a lot of the other Zerg players have kind of figured out how to deal with ByuN's 2 Rax openings, and so, especially on a map like Dragon Scales, which is very, very short, I do think that is really smart for ByuN to do, where he is going for a bit of a rush, but he's faking out a macro game.
Exactly. He's keeping these Rexes hidden in the main base. So far, Serral is none the wiser. He has scouted a Rex expand. He's scouted a standard opener, but he himself is also doing anything but standard because Serral is going 2-base lair.
Oh my, there I was waiting for that. The Roach Warren has now been thrown down. This is kind of one of the biggest counters anyway to Mass Marines. I don't really have the math worked out here, Light, because conventional wisdom will say that stimmed Marines will beat anything you throw at them. But when you literally only have Marines up against literally only Roaches, and your Zerg opponent is catching wind of the fact that you've made a couple more Marines than is normal, I feel like Serral has plenty of time to come up with a game plan from here.
Yeah, this is going to get really interesting. So, as you mentioned, this is going to be 2-base Roach out of Serral. He skipped Ling Speed to make this happen, and I do think that this shuts down 2-1-1s really hard, especially the 2-1-1 variations that ByuN has been going for. He hasn't seen the 4X yet, and the 4X, as you were mentioning, is going to hit that much harder. There are going to be that much more Marines to work with, but Serral, with that lair, is going for an Overseer Scout, and he's going to see everything in the main.
Yeah, this is theoretically an inefficient way of spending your money, but this is super, super worth it right now for Serral.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's fully aware of what ByuN is doing. He's fully aware that there's going to be a very strong stim timing here from ByuN to kind of wind it all back to ByuN's build. Of course, it's going to be hitting without medevacs, so every single stim is going to count. Every single stim is going to be so crucial here for ByuN. He cannot waste them because he can't heal up from here as he's sending everything across the map.
Yeah, Serral has eyes on this with that one Spartling, and already back home, he is setting up his roaches on top of a ramp. ByuN doesn't need to commit to this. He is still getting a third base. As long as he's able to, I don't know, maybe cancel that third, this opening will have been worth it for him. But keep in mind, he'll still be vulnerable to a counterattack.
He will. I think that's what Serral is banking on right now, is to shut this down and go for a big counterattack. We do some on forward. We're going to be focusing on Roach after Roach. Good transfuses so far, but a lot of Roaches are going down.
And the Queens are completely out of energy. With that defender's advantage, Serral is able to pump out a couple more Roaches, and ByuN, without medevac support, cannot sustain this push at all. He is forced all the way back, and in the end, didn't make this opening pay for itself at all.
Yeah, he's at least saving some of the Marines, or at least he's trying to save some of these Marines, as Serral is going for a big counterattack. He's droning up behind this, bear that in mind. So Serral isn't going all in, he is transitioning as well, and he can't quite push up this ramp, especially with these Marauders coming out.
Yeah, I was super worried here for ByuN when I didn't see a bunker being made here, but like I said, Marauders are the #1 nemesis of just about any Roach out there. You think Roaches are scared of anything, they would be Marauders.
Marauders, they're terrifying, Bobby. They're terrifying. And Serral is going to back off. The other really interesting thing about what just happened is that ByuN also didn't know what he was walking into. Remember, he just didn't scout at all, so he had no idea whether it was Lings or Bailings or Roaches waiting for him. So, yeah, just a really interesting turn of events. From here, Serral is going to be doubling down on his Roach play. Interesting, though, he's actually going for Tunneling Claw and Burret.
Yeah, so still trying to make these Roaches... Still trying to get something done with these Roaches that he's made, despite the fact that he is going to be using them as his main army composition. I guess it kind of makes sense, right? You know that... or Serral knows that Roaches will eventually kind of fall off as the game continues, so he might as well get the most use of them as possible. He needs to make Roaches now, to be safe. But later down the line, he needs to find some other use for them, and that's where the Tunnel Claws comes in.
Exactly, and because we see Ling Speed on the way, that tells us that Serral does plan on going into a more like Ling-heavy composition over time to get into Lings, to get into Bailings as well. But I love this. Oh my god, we have a tri-pronged attack set up here. We have a drop load into the main, we have Roaches on the right-hand side, we have Roaches threatening the third base as well. ByuN is getting a turret ready in between his bases, but is he going to be ready for the drop?
I will see. I want to hope that there are still those couple of Marines earlier on in the main base. Tart finishes up just in time, and ByuN will be able to catch these Roaches coming up into his natural base. The Marines in the main were sent down, and the Roaches do pop out. But there are now medevacs, so ByuN can much more easily kind of transition back and forth between his bases.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like he won't lose too much in the main base. Does force a scan. Meanwhile, the main army of Serral is going to be threatening the third base, but ByuN is in position. He is ready for any kind of Roach push, and we do see Serral hasn't really been able to get too much damage done here. 2 SCVs in total. Does force a second scan, though, so is at least, or even a fourth scan, so does at least do some inadvertent damage in that sense.
Yeah, he's making sure that ByuN, who already is behind economically and when it comes to his base count, isn't able to throw down those mules. Serral is in a pretty comfortable 74-75 drone position, which is just about all you need in the mid-game.
Yeah, exactly. The Infestors come out as well, so now he has some splash damage. He has a way to lock down the Bio army, so he's not too vulnerable to this, but I think he only has 2 Infestors, and he has to make them count. And here we go. ByuN is going to be pushing on out. He's not going to be threatening a base, but he is threatening the creep, and he is giving Serral some time here to get ready for this. He has a Hive on the way, Hydrogen. It looks like Serral wants to make use of those range upgrades. Looks like he wants to eventually work towards Lunkers.
Oh boy.
You don't like the lunch here, Papi? What's going on? Are you doing your best Asher impression? What's happening, Papi? What's
I'm trying to give my best like 1,000 feet stare.
Okay.
With the dead eyes, but I don't think my eyes are visible at all anyway. So, yeah, interestingly enough for ByuN, despite the fact that Serral is going this roach heavy, ByuN is committed to Widow Mine production instead of tanks. I mean, it kind of makes sense, I suppose, trying to go for mass bio when you know that your opponent's not going to be getting any Lings or any Banelings or any major splash damage, really, but yeah, still an interesting choice nonetheless. He is coming in with a massive Doom drop into the main base.
Ooh, meanwhile, we got a massive bungle in the bio as well, so a decent trade here from Serral. At the same time, though, looks like this 5th base is going to go down. That's a kill, not a cancel on the 5th.
Yeah, good pick off here for ByuN, but even juicier fungal here from Serral. These units will not be able to make it out of here until now. There's still a somewhat threatening force here for ByuN in the middle of the map, but it cannot fight the defender's advantage of Serral.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Lurker Den is done, and you were kind of touching on it. Widow Mines, they're ideal against Ling Bane Muta sort of composition, not so much against Hydras and not so much against Lurkers. I do think upon seeing all these Hydras, ByuN is now aware of what's going on. But he's going to keep on pushing. Does take another fungal to the face, but Serral doesn't really have too much to follow it up.
Yeah, he doesn't have that many Ravagers, so Biles are limited. That was also his last fungal, as he doesn't really have too many Infestors left. The Lurkers burrow just in time, buying Serral more than enough time here to get a defense ready. And of course, those Lurker upgrades on the way. Lurker range is about to finish up just about now, and yeah, Serral's looking to be much safer as the game continues on.
Exactly, but ByuN is doing such a great job at containing Serral here. Serral, he still doesn't have a 5th. He lost it earlier. He hasn't been able to expand. We have another push here on the left-hand side as well. And Serral's army is very immobile. That's the downside here of the Roach Hydra Lurker, is he's having a hard time keeping up, hard time expanding. ByuN, he's catching up at the base count.
Slowly but surely, and of course he does have mules to go with him. We were mentioning it earlier that 74 drones is a pretty comfortable drone count to stop at in the mid game, but now that Serral's transition to Hive Tech, you know, he's being forced to spend his larva on army units. He hasn't really been able to get to that 80 over or even 90 drone count that you want to be in.
Exactly, and ByuN, he's just been trading so efficiently. He's taking that center base as his 4th, so he is now going to be even when it comes to workers, when it comes to bases. He's catching up when it comes to workers as well. We do see Serral, though, in a move of desperation. He's going for a big Roach counterattack on the left-hand side. There's a lot of potential with this push. He needs to do some damage. He needs to force ByuN back.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here for Serral, as you mentioned, because he scouted that ByuN's basically entire army is far forward on the map. This is a beautiful place for ByuN to fight without the Lurker support of Serral, but here come the fungals, and here come the Lurker burrows. Is there a scan? There's a scan.
There is no scan. At the same time, Roaches are going for their counterattack as well. They get into the middle line. SCVs are going down. We do have a scan available for at least these Roaches, and it looks like ByuN should be able to clean this up without too much issue. 10 SCVs do go down. On top of that, I don't know if you noticed, but ByuN did snipe the spawning pool as well. To be fair, we weren't really making too many Lings, but if we wanted to, we cannot.
Exactly. It's a morale victory, you know?
Yeah. As ByuN still has a lot of momentum going his way. He hasn't been able to snipe too many Lurkers recently, but the drop is coming back in. The main base is looking exposed. He could try to go for the Hive itself. Instead, he does go for workers, and a lot of workers are going down.
A lot of the workers are going down. A lot of tech is very vulnerable as well here in the main base. Serral cannot go back to defend against this because here comes the main push of ByuN. The Lurkers do get deleted with this concave of ByuN's bio. And this was... I'm astonished, Light. I have never seen a Terran player beat Lurkers without Liberators or tanks.
I mean, there's no Liberators, there's no tanks, there's no Ghosts either. Like, your typical reaction, your typical responses to Lurker play is not here, but that's because ByuN has not allowed the Lurkers to really get to critical mass, right? He's been picking them up one after another, just making sure that they stay in check, and they're just going down like flies here. And ByuN, at the same time, did just lose 13 SCVs. Oh, he lost that center base. It wasn't on camera, but he did lose it.
Yeah, this hasn't been a great trait for ByuN at all. The burrowed, or The burrow roaches of Serral are continuing to make it that much more difficult for ByuN to really get his economy up and running as well. ByuN, for the first time in this game, is now on the defensive against a massive army of Hydras.
Yeah, like, he was doing so well for himself, but he just lost the mineral line. Like, 17 SCVs, he lost his 4th base as well. He lost his economy. He cannot keep up when it comes to the production. GG gets called, and Serral does take game number 1. But that was pretty close. ByuN was looking good. But those run-bys, those counterattacks, they did pay off so well in the end for Serral.
Yeah, once again, we see Serral's just, what's the word that I'm thinking of here, Light, when you see everything? Well, basically, he had really good map presence and map information. Every single time he sent out those burrow roaches were during times where he was able to scout that ByuN was moving forward with a massive army. He basically set it up for himself that he just never had to deal with any defenders that ByuN had back at home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw those like map awareness, right? He had a couple of spotter, lings, bard scattered around the map, and that allowed him to get away with those roach counterattacks as well, even lurker counterattacks. So yeah, that was keeping him in the game. That was arguably winning Serral the game. That did mean that ByuN just couldn't quite keep up macro-wise with Serral. And on a map like Dragon Scales, because it's so small, because it's so short, like, it's that much more punishing as well, because it doesn't take that long to move out across the map.
Sauron, that was the word I was thinking of.
What?
But, yeah, Sauron,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think you put it very well there, where Serral was playing his very typical style. The map lent itself very well for counterattacks that we did see towards the end there. I could definitely see him cracking a bit of a sweat there. ByuN, I think, really did... I mean, ByuN was doing a really good job for a very long time, just making sure that Serral could never comfortably get to that economic position that we typically see from him. But that was then. This is now. We're moving on to Babylon. We're in the top left-hand corner. Map spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner. Our blue Terrorblade representing Shopify Rebellion. It's ByuN.
Oh no, be careful.
Oh.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner from Finland, representing Team Basilisk, going for a 15-15 opener. It is Serral.
That hopefully isn't a sign for things to come here for ByuN. I don't know if this is a superstition in Australia, Light, but there is a superstition that if you start coughing for no reason, it's because somebody's talking behind your back.
Is that a thing in Singapore? Is that?
Yeah. Asia in general, I think.
Okay. I do know that that's a similar thing is in Japan, which is when you sneeze. You sneeze when someone's...
Oh, right. That was what I was thinking of. I don't know why I thought cough. So if you ever start sneezing and you don't really know why, it's probably because your parents are with their friends.
Oh my god. Feels bad. True. I do often do talk about Stark behind his back. It's just, you're not wrong.
He's been in the ER several times, and he doesn't know why.
Oh god! But so when we get into this game here, this has been very. Serral's been very fond of the 15-15 here in ZvT. It's been really interesting to see. The reasoning for that, the rationale for that, is because it does lend really well to 2-base Roach. I didn't actually check, but he may have done the same opener last game as well, which would have led into that fast layer tech. And yeah, it's just been, I guess, Serral's comfort zone, especially against these like heavy Reaper compositions, these mass Rax compositions, or sorry, these mass Rax openers that Terran players have been going for.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that sort of evolution in the meta. But for the longest time, the trick to beating 2-1-1, or the trick to beating Mass Marines, is to get even more Lings and make sure that your Terran opponent, you're not going to trade well or efficiently, but you're making sure your Terran opponent never really gets any momentum. It's a similar-ish concept here with the Roach openings, but much more efficient. Well, in the short term at least.
Yeah, it's meant to be more punishing as well. You know, we get into it, but typically when you go into 2-on-1 variations, like you're not making banshees, you're not making tanks either. So roaches, they can be a little bit more successful when it comes to how aggressive you can be with them. So we'll see how Serral does open up. So he basically went with his 15-15 gasless for a very long time. He took a faster third base. He's only just now taking his gas. So very delayed link speed. Because of that, typically Serral should be going into roaches from here and just skipping links entirely just because of how delayed link speed is.
Yeah, I mean, you got to spend your money somehow. And if it ain't on Lings, it's got to be on something else. It's been ages, but I'm getting very vague memories of seeing one player go up to like 4 hatch before lair. It was insane to witness. Yeah, that very obviously isn't a thing. That, for obvious reasons, that's not a thing you see often in the top level of play. But you gotta spend your money somehow. And if it ain't on links, it's gotta be on something.
True. There you go. And there's that roach warren that we were talking about. So again, this 15-15 opener does lend towards roaches. Hellion does get taken out. And ByuN, as he just shake his head a little bit after losing that Hellion, is going for a straight up 1-1-1 opener. Very aggressive opener here from ByuN. He's going to be delaying his third base by quite a bit to make this happen. And he's going for not just a drop play, but he's even cranking out some cyclones.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely gives him a little bit more, definitely gives him a little bit more of a safety net against the roaches. Interesting add-on swap. For a second with that add-on swap, I thought he was just going to go for banshees because, you know, maybe he senses that Serral is going for something, but no, this is ByuN, buddy. What's going on, pal?
It's a little bit indecisive from ByuN, unfortunately, as he's going what looks to be into a 2-base all-in. Still no third CC, by the way. He throws down 2 additional racks as well, so this is going to be very committed from ByuN, already moving out across map with that cyclone drop, but Serral is getting in position, will be losing 1 overlord at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. He hasn't lost his units just yet. ByuN will now confirm the roaches coming his way. Definitely glad that he kept that cyclone alive.
Yeah, the cyclone will help here when it comes to kiting. We can see that these roaches aren't really going to be posing too much of a threat. They're just here to defend. As Serral is droning, he didn't rush into that lair like he did previously, but is working towards that lair. Meanwhile, we can see that ByuN, he isn't going for a 2-base all-in, but this is still a very delayed third.
Very delayed third, yeah. There's an opening that's meant to either defend against early game aggression, which Serral can go for but isn't going for, or to punish your Zerg opponent's greed, which Serral also isn't being overly greedy. So yeah, this opening just isn't accomplishing much in this game.
Yeah, we'll see if he can maybe build up muster up an army and maybe hit a timing a little bit later on and make use of this. But as things stand, it does feel like ByuN is going to be falling a little bit behind here, as ByuN is still on 2 bases and Serral is working on his 4th here, just happily expanding to his heart's content. Maybe his goal is to force Serral to overreact and maybe assume that it is going to be a 2-base all-in, which I wouldn't blame Serral if he did read that from his opponent. But yeah, maybe that's the idea here, as Serral is now focusing on building up his army.
Yeah, especially after game number 1, right? Why wouldn't a player who 4-axes you go for another 2-base all-in?
Yeah, exactly, as the Overseer dips in and does get eyes on the 3rd CC being floated over towards the 3rd base location, so Serral's fully aware that a 3rd base is on the way. Immediately he starts his infestation pit. He's got a Bailey Nest, a speed on the way for Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager. This time he's not headed towards Hydro Lurker. Well, at least it looks to be that way.
Yeah, well, for the time being, he's not. And if this game goes on, we all know where Zerg ends up tech-wise.
Yeah, all roads lead to Lunker, Papi. Look, Serral's just...
Remember nothing but Ling Bane into Ultra? Let's bring that back every now and then.
Feels dark, man. Yeah. To be fair, Serral, he did rush Ultra last night against Maru. That did happen.
Oh, he did, didn't he? On Neo Humanity.
Yeah. It was crazy. Lost my mind. Hopefully we can see that.
I can't believe it's not Lunkers.
It's true, true. As the Hive is on the way, 1-1 is about to kick in, and yeah, Serral has been quite content here on his side of the map. ByuN is vying for map control, and here we go. Finally, it looks like the main army of ByuN is about to move out. It's soon to be active on the map.
Yeah, decently well timed here for ByuN. +1 finished up a while ago, +1 infantry. Actually, I can't tell because I'm looking at it on YouTube, but yeah, +1 armor is still a ways off. To be fair, Serral doesn't have +1 melee just yet, though, so this could still be fine for ByuN.
Yeah, I mean, there's no bailing speed either, so Lingbane Roach Ravager is going to struggle a little bit in this position, but Serral with that fast Hive is already going into Vipers. He's already droned up to 82. He's already at the ideal worker count that he would really want for, and yeah, ByuN, a lot of pressure is on him to do damage right now.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Serral is going for Vipers before Baneling Speed finishes up, because that's how safe he's been throughout this entire game. That's how greedy he's been allowed to be, tech-wise.
Yeah, exactly. Insanely greedy, and we can see ByuN trying to push on forward. Good tank positioning is reinforcing with a lot of these Marines as well, so ByuN, it looks like he can maybe try to break this position.
Yeah, he's definitely trying. He's trying to get some lock-ons on top of that hatchery. He's trying to get on top of it. You know, it's very difficult to go for a 3-prong surround that you normally want to do against tanks like this. As a Zerg player, ByuN with a hot pickup will be picking up a couple of Banelings, but still hasn't been able to crack that base. That base is still fully saturated, at least when it comes to the mineral line. Serral's still benefiting from it, but with the stim forward, it still lives.
Yeah, it does still live just barely. I do think that Serral has been waiting for those Vipers. The Vipers, they finally arrived. We have enough energy for Blinding Clouds, for Parasitic Bombs as well. The Vipers are coming in, and now finally Serral is going to break this position. He just pushes on forward.
Yeah, ByuN forced to pick up, but that means he isn't able to, you know, actually defend his tanks.
I love that through the army, he just boosts on past. He desperately wants his opponent to turn around. He wants the hatchery, he wants it, and he does get it.
He does get it. He forces a little bit of a turnaround. Serral, yeah, turns around completely.
Yeah, exactly, he does. Well, ByuN does buy himself some breathing room. As he was attacking, he was expanding, taking a 4th base as well, so he's going to be able to slowly get it back up and running. But Serral now has map control. Now he has Vipers as well. Bailing speed is done, and Serral, he's going to be looking to try to deny some of these bases.
Yeah, Serral's got map control, he's got Vipers, Baneling speed, Crackling's finished up before +2 melee, because again, that's how safe he's been economically and tech-wise.
Yeah, but he's being denied some of these bases. Serral is double expanding to make up for that, and here we go. We do see him rolling towards that 3rd base location. Blinding Clouds are being thrown down. Banelings are going to be rolling on in as well, going for the army, while the Lings get into the mineral line.
Yeah, decent trade against the Banelings here for ByuN, but 14 SCVs did go down to all of those Lings. Despite that, ByuN actually isn't that far behind when it comes to the worker count.
Yeah, he's been cranking out a lot of workers, and as a result, he's still looking okay economically. He's slowly rebuilding his army. We already have Ghosts on the way. Meanwhile, Serral is working on those Lunkers. As you mentioned, Yaku, you know, it really, when it comes to lurker play, it's more of a when, not an if.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with that lurker then completing, no wait, I don't know what completed there. I just saw Serral get pumped for a second. I was like, I wanted to tie it to something, but he knows he knows how ahead he is. He's feeling very confident in this position. Ghosts are now out, but ByuN's having a hard time getting them into position to snipe or EMP any of these Vipers. The CC goes down. Oh no, it didn't. The mineral line went down.
Yeah, the mineral line went down. That was a lot of mineral line as well, as 26 SCVs go down in the blink of an eye. Soul connections with those Banelings. 2 tanks got sniped by those Biles, and Serral is looking pretty comfortable behind this. Basically, ever since that first push, ByuN has been the defender. He's been stuck at home, and Serral has been free to spread his creep and just continue to just batter down that 3rd base over and over again.
Yeah, spread his creep, fly away. Been able to pretty much whatever, like you were saying. ByuN, again, he's in a very precarious position where he knows that he needs to basically do a lot of things at once, right? He needs to be able to he needs to expand, he needs to attack, and if need be, he also needs to be in position to defend.
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the map control to do any of it.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the numbers here as the Bailey roll in once again, connecting with the ByuN army. 21 more SCVs go down. The eBays barely do survive with that clutch repair, but this is just worth it. Time and time again, Serral, he's just remaxing over and over again, and he's perpetually maxed out. ByuN, he's barely struggling to reach 150 supply.
Yeah, we're at the point where Serral doesn't care about how efficient his trades are. As long as he's getting damage done, he is getting value.
Exactly. I mean, Serral, he's maxed and he has a bank. And that's a pretty large bank here. ByuN, he just hasn't been able to move out in a very long time. We can see Serral rotating around. He's been giving ByuN a really hard time at the third base location, but it looks like now he's going to be maybe kind of diverting his eyes over towards the fourth base instead.
Yeah, I mean, that fifth base location is definitely very, very vulnerable. We're seeing Serral send Lings to harass it, and ByuN not really being able to do anything, since it's, one, not a planetary, and two, he doesn't have any army in the vicinity. Now he's going for that fourth base location. Infestors. Vipers will be able to pick off a good number of the tanks. All of these Banelings stream on forward, and they will get taken out, but it distracts the army, or pulls back the army of ByuN long enough for that planetary fortress to go down. ByuN's economy is in the gutter.
Yeah, Serral, he's pulling a ByuN apart right now. Roach is at the third base, Ling Bane at the fourth. The fifth was denied, and ByuN is going to be able to hold on to his three bases, but he can't hold on to his fourth right now. He's trying to double expand. Meanwhile, we did have a Lunker Den, true, but Serral, he's skipping Lunkers. He's like, you know what? That's great and all, but I'm confident enough that I can just go on further into the highest form of tech. Brood Lords are going to be on the way.
Yeah, Lurkers are too mainstream for Serral, you know?
True.
And diversify a little bit, and I mean, it does also make a lot of sense, doesn't it? He scouted the Liberators that are in production, he scouted the mass amount of Ghosts, and to be fair, Ghosts are still not bad against Brood Lords, but still, without any Vikings, technically Brood Lords are a safer bet than Lurkers.
Yeah, as the Ling Bane rolls on in, gets on top of a lot of these tanks as well, and ByuN is going to be able to hold on, but he loses a good chunk of his tanks. Meanwhile, this base barely does survive as well. Serral has to back off, is bleeding out a lot of supply here, and we'll see what Serral decides to rebuild on. He's actually making 86 Lings. He's preserving his gas here for either the Lurkers or the Brood Lords.
Yeah. He's got a lot of options on his hands right now. Might as well buy more time before making a decision by getting a mass amount of Lings. There we go, 12 Hydras are now on the way.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, just because you mentioned earlier, right now, ByuN, he has Liberators, tanks, and Ghosts, all things which are good against Lurkers. But it does look like Serral still wants to commit to the Lurker play. He did kill some tanks, to be fair, and it looks like he's going to snipe, yeah, he snipes the Liberator as well, so it looks like he's kind of creating the opportunity to actually make Lurkers work.
Yeah, he's kind of banking on ByuN not making more Liberators, and that is a choice that, or that is a sacrifice that ByuN does have to make, considering how poor he is right now gas-wise. He can make tanks, or he can make tanks and Ghosts, or tanks and Libs, but he can't make all three.
Yeah, but again, like this is still a pretty solid tank Lib line here, and this is where I have to be maybe a little bit critical about the lack of going into Brood Lords, but maybe Serral wants upgrades first. Maybe he wants to focus on that, and he may just avoid this location entirely here and focus over towards the right-hand side instead, as he is going to be dancing with those forces and goes for a massive link counterattack.
Just like so, there were a couple of defenses here in position. Tanks will go down, and Bio will go down as well, along with a whole ton of SCVs.
Yeah, exactly. Another 26 workers go to every time the Lings come in. It's like 20 plus workers going down.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You know, I think we've been actually thinking about it wrong, right? Like, why does Serral keep going for these Ling counterattacks when he has the tech to go for Brood Lords or Lurkers? Well, he paid for Cracklings. He's gonna make it damn sure he gets his money's worth.
Yeah, exactly. As he does snipe just barely that base as well. The third TC does go down. Lings go for a run by. There's nothing to support these tanks, so the tanks are going down one after the other. Very efficient trades here with these Lings.
I'm loving the little back and forth that Serral's doing with his Lings as well. There are numerous times where he could have gone for a full surround against those tanks, but instead he pulls back and avoids the liberation zones. GG is called, and Serral will now find himself on match point. ByuN shaking his head a little bit there. He knows, and I'm hoping this isn't going to be the case, Light, but we're seeing a pretty similar pattern to last night.
Yeah, and this game 2 was a really interesting game to kind of look at, because if you remember, ByuN, he was relatively passive for a long time. Like, he opened up with a really, what seemed to be a very aggressive build, but he actually didn't move out until around the 8-minute mark. If you remember, by the time he moved out across the map towards the north with his tank push, Serral was already working on Vipers. Like, he already had a hive. Like, that's how late that push was. So what I'm trying to get at here is
an 8-minute hive, but still.
Yeah, and like basically ByuN was just giving Serral a lot of freedom, a lot of breathing room in that game. I don't know how intentional it was. Like, it did seem like ByuN was a little bit indecisive as to how he wanted to open up and what he wanted to do against the build of Serral.
Yeah, I would have to think that was the main issue of that game there from ByuN. I mean, don't get me wrong, the push itself, when it did happen, was decently effective, all things considered. He was able to kind of force Serral on the back foot a little bit there. He almost sniped that hatchery, but as he was saying, I just can't help but wonder how much more effective that would have been if it hit a minute or so earlier. If he did decide to go for that push right at the start of the game and built up and adjusted his build accordingly, instead of swapping his starport onto a tech lab and then lifting it to build a reactor and then canceling the reactor and then building another reactor anyway.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a really interesting early game build there from ByuN, but hopefully he can kind of bring it all back here. We started the night talking about how last night we had nothing but 3-0s, and how we hope that doesn't kind of repeat itself. That hopefully we get more of a back and forth here tonight, and I'm still of that mindset. I want ByuN to fight back. I want him to put some points on the board. I want him to force the ace match even. I want some more games, Papi. I want some more games.
Yeah, we can't have gone 2 weeks in a row, even longer than that, including the qualifiers, to just have it all end in 3-0s. But anyway, here we are on Ancient Cistern. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. The blue Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion from the land of Korea. He's ByuN.
And in the top right-hand corner, we have the Finnish Zerg player for Team Basilisk. It is Serral.
I feel personally attacked by ByuN with that head shake.
There you go. As ByuN is looking to go for something that he's more known for nowadays. It's looking like the 2-Rax opener from ByuN.
Yeah, he has been kind of avoiding it a little bit. Well, I say avoiding. He still whips it out once or twice in the best of series, but, he doesn't do it every single game or every single TVZ like he used to a month or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he just reserves them for maps where it actually makes sense to go for this opening on, like on Ancient Cistern.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were talking about it before, but on some of these smaller maps, it's really risky, very risky to go for the 2-Rax opener nowadays, just because it can be punished by roaches, and that's why we've been seeing Serral go for roaches time and time again. But for the first time this series, Serral, I believe, went for a hatch gas pool opener, a much more standard opener here, as we do give a shout out to the sponsors, Papi, to Tidal, Rio de Janeiro, Hypergriff, and Doi.
Yeah. That's how standard this game is.
It's 3-Rax.
Coming on the way. Yeah.
So everything was looking normal until it wasn't, as ByuN throws down a 3rd rack. So this is going to be Mass Reaper.
Yep. Kind of what ByuN does best, or rather, something that nobody else other than ByuN can do. This is a huge risk. We were talking about it at the start of this game. Ancient Cistern is a very long map, and I feel like normally when we do see 3-Rax Reapers, I mean, a bit of advice that was given way back in the day. If you're going to go for 3x Reapers, there's no reason not to just proxy it.
Yeah, that was definitely the case back in the day, but ByuN, he can macro out of this, of course, but for now, he's just making a mass amount of Reapers. The goal here is to deny the third. This third base is being taken at a standard timing, but with the abundance of Reapers on the way, Serral should not be able to finish this. He should be forced to cancel.
Should being the operative word. We're seeing Link Speed in production right now. ByuN pulls away, and he dips into the natural base for a quick second, wondering how much more aggressive he can really be with this.
Yeah, exactly. As the additional Reapers are arriving, we do see Serral did prioritize Link Speed. Link Speed is on the way. Lings are banking up as well. So eventually, once Link Speed kicks in, Serral can shut this down. But before that happens, he does have to cancel this base, and he does force to cancel.
Just at the last second. Meanwhile, all these Lings are being banked up. You need to have some of the best micro in the world if you want to protect 6 Reapers against that mass of Speedlings.
Exactly. Now, ByuN has to be very careful to keep these Reapers alive. They're the only units he has right now, and he is transitioning. He's working on his add-ons. He's taking his natural base. If Serral does catch these Lings, he can suddenly apply pressure to the wall and deny these add-ons as well. So ByuN has to be very careful with his movement here, as the Lings do bypass the Reapers, and they go straight for the wall. They go, oh my god, even threaten that stim. He doesn't go for it.
Yeah, instead he decides to pull back. ByuN did commit to the Reapers for a little while, so he has a massive force right out in the map right now. He has to be much more careful with trying to cancel that third base. Ooh, a little bit of a misrally, but thankfully Speedlings are quick enough to avoid these Reapers.
Yeah, as you mentioned, though, a lot of lanes have been going down, and at this point, I think ByuN can even fight those Lings head-on. He goes for the Queens. He knows he has the advantage right now. Serral trying to set up a surround, but he can't quite engage. And ByuN does back off. It was a delicate dance. ByuN doesn't lose anything yet.
Yes, Sim and +1 is on the way. We are transitioning to more of a 3-1-1. It's going to be looking very familiar from here on out. ByuN going to be trying to go for his drops. ByuN going to be dropping across the map, and Serral going to be looking to defend and look for opportunities to counterattack.
Yeah, and what's important is that we still don't see a CC here from ByuN. Now, I do think he's going to get one eventually, just a little bit more delayed, which means there's going to be more onus, more pressure on ByuN to do damage here with this stim timing, with this medevac timing, as Combat Shield is now on the way, and medevac should be on the horizon momentarily here for ByuN as well.
Yeah, ByuN definitely wants to start applying pressure sooner rather than later. It's actually kind of interesting. I never thought about how effective going for a double prong drop with the support of a whole bunch of Reapers would be.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was ever a player who could pull it off and actually make it effective, it would be ByuN with those KD8 charges.
Yeah, like Reapers are deceptively, they're actually really useful in the mid game. Like you don't want to waste any like build time or production time making them, but if they ever survive, like they do so well helping control and micro against Ling Bane to just like disrupt the surround or disrupt the engagement. And here we go, ByuN is moving out, the medevacs are also zooming across the map.
Yeah, the Reapers are poking and prodding, forcing a couple of transfuses here. ByuN is looking to commit.
Creep is being denied as well. Here we go. The Marines, they do arrive. They do force that stim. They do dive on top of the Queens. 1 Queen, 2 Queens go down already. The Bailey's not quite ready for this.
Yeah, great zoning with that KD8 charge. Serral was looking to slip a couple of Banelings into the Marines, but his KV8 charges kept them at bay. Great target firing coming out from ByuN, and great use of the choke point as well. ByuN stims on forward. He's able to get all of these Lings and all of these Queens. ByuN will be fighting back, will be making sure that we don't have a night of 3-0s.
GG, well played. ByuN snowballing out of control towards the end there. Beautiful target firing on those Banelings, not allowing a single Baneling to connect. And again, that was all off of the back of the Reapers containing Serral, slowing him down, keeping him on 2 bases, and also keeping those Reapers alive. You mentioned it at the very start of that engagement as well, for ByuN to be able to zone away the Ling Bane with those Reapers. Like they do kind of add some complexity to that army.
Yeah. It's not something I've ever really thought of, which, I mean, isn't really saying much. But, you know, I normally think of KD8 charges as like a very reflexive kind of thing. It's like you throw it onto a unit that you want to isolate, right? But in ByuN's case, he's shown that you can use it more of a... If you have enough Reapers, you can use it as a zoning tool. I think that's a huge caveat there. If you only have 2 or 3 Reapers, you do want to be a bit more selective with your KD8 charges.
Exactly. So, yeah, again, a very powerful build there from ByuN, especially on Ancient Cistern, kind of taking what is typically a macro map away from Serral as well, and getting a little momentum here. So, yeah, we do have more of a back and forth. ByuN finally puts a point on the board, and we'll see if he can extend that lead here, as we're going to be getting into Royal Blood next.
Yeah. I just noticed this, but I don't think I've ever seen any player drink Coca-Cola on cam.
Yeah, it was doing it last night as well. It was crazy.
As we continue here on Royal Blood, we're here in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, fighting back our Blue Terran player from South Korea. Representing Shopify Rebellion, it's ByuN.
It is ByuN. And in the top right-hand corner, once again, going for the 15-15 opener, we have the Finnish Zerg player for Team Basilisk, Serral.
Every time I finish introing ByuN, he's always like sighing or shaking his head.
It's like, Papi, I feel like he's judging me. Yeah. Not like this. It's okay, Yaku. It's okay. He likes it. It's fine. He's shaking his head at the production for speeding you up, you know? It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna go. He's being tsundere.
He could be. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a bit of an otaku. But we are getting into the feed.
Years ago, he had a Twitter thread where he was vacationing in Japan, and he basically was like, "These are the places I visited that was featured in that one anime movie."
Ah, there you go. I think I remember that. But yeah, Serral going for a 15-15 opener instead. Not going for too much of a late gas geyser this time. It's going to be a little bit delayed, so I'm curious as to how Serral is going to open this up. I'm going to assume that he's going to be playing roaches, but we'll see. We'll see if he does, mix things up a little bit more.
Yeah, roaches are just a nice and safe opener coming out here in the current ZvT meta.
I mean, every game that Serral has won so far, he's been opening up Roach. Like, it's in the 15-15.
It's true.
So we'll see
if they open
they're...
up Roaches last game. Yeah, you might be onto something.
There you go. They smooch. Feels Ling Bane, man. Feels... I also long for the day when Ling Bane was more meta, more of the meta, and hopefully we can get some more of that later on tonight or even later on in this series. For now...
Okay. I definitely do not. I still remember I don't remember which GSL it was where Rogue basically popularized Roach play, and every Zerg player on the ladder was trying to do that. But because and it was just, and that's how TVC became my best matchup for a while.
Feels bad, man. They don't know how to play Roach, Poppy. They don't know how to play like Rogue. True. It's not quite the same. But something that is interesting that's happening here is that ByuN proxies his starport. So he's going for a 1-1-1 opener. So very committed here from ByuN, and this is either going to be a Hellion drop or a proxy Liberator.
Yeah, potentially both. We'll see. He does have that reactor on his factory. We just have to see how committed he is to the Hellion production. If he makes more than 4, it's going to be a Liberator. If he makes a Medevac, it's not going to be a Liberator.
That's just math. You can't get wrong with that logic, mate. And yeah, we do have the Medevac on the way, so we do have a drop coming out from ByuN. So far unscouted, there are Overlords in position to see any kind of drop play coming in, but even if Serral sees it, he doesn't really have too many units because he skipped link speed, because he's going straight into Roaches, which means he only has Queens to defend.
Yeah, pretty smart choice here from ByuN. Serral's going to have to be in position to actually defend against these Hellions, and thankfully for Serral, he does have 3 Queens in his main base. Whether or not that's going to stop this Hellion damage is another story. 6 links already go down, drones already go down, and a lot of them are lining up.
They are lining up as the Hellions do dip into the natural. They are not done. They want even more workers. They will get them As we said before, because Serral was skipping Lings and skipping Ling speed, he had a hard time keeping up. 13 drones go down.
And that was with only 4 Hellions and a medevac. I can't tell you how many times I've had twice those Hellions and have gotten not even half of those drone kills.
ByuN just making some magic happen here, and behind this he's transitioning into a 3-rack setup off of 2 bases, so going to be very aggressive here from the side of ByuN. His starport is floating back home, so it's going to take a while for him to make additional medevacs, especially because he lost the first one. That was a bit of a rough loss for ByuN, but overall he did do some great economic damage.
Yeah, Serral's feeling a little pressure right now to go across the map and to apply some pressure on ByuN. And in fairness, ByuN doesn't have a tank. His factory production is very much delayed because he lifted up his factory and sent it to the low ground for whatever reason. But there is this bunker in place, and it's only 3. And it's only 3 Ravagers, so I don't think ByuN is feeling too worried. I say that, but he's pulling a lot of SCVs to repair. Yeah,
that's 6 SCVs to repair. 1 SCV does go down as well. It looks like, we're going to be losing some of these Ravagers there. I was going to say this is well worth it for Serral if he didn't lose the Ravagers, but every single one is going to get hunted down.
Jesus. These Marines were on a mission.
Look, those Ravagers, they killed their best friend, okay? The SCV, he wanted to live the civilian life, you know, he didn't join the military, and he got shot down. So they had a bit of a vendetta, chip on their shoulder. Behind this, though, Serral is now building up a roach army. He's been able to drone up to 3 base saturation. 1-1 is on the way, and yeah, Serral is still in this. He has since recovered from those economic losses.
He definitely has, overtaking ByuN when it comes to the worker count and getting to a decent 65 link worker count. Why do I keep mixing up drones and lings? I guess I just pull the boys too much.
True. All these workers, they all look the same to me. Smooch. Hashtag not all Zerg Yaku. We're not all like that. But here we go. ByuN is moving out on the map. He's going to clean up a lot of this creep, but Serral at this point is already focusing on his army production, and the roaches have been revealed. The Marines, they're just still on forward.
Yeah, when you have enough Marines and Stim and medevac support, they don't care what unit they're up against. They will demolish just about everything. Defensive... Serral does have very strong defenders advantage, but that's not going to stop ByuN from picking off a bunch of queens on his way out.
Very efficient trade from ByuN. Serral holds on, and it looks like Serral won't be hitting a 1-1 timing. He won't be going all in, just because we have an infestation on the way. So Serral, he's looking towards a later game. He's looking towards investors, towards a hive as well, and that's probably well worth it because ByuN did delay his 3rd base by quite a bit. He's only just now working on his 3rd.
Yeah. As a Serral's, he's working on that 8-minute hive timing again. Which, yeah, probably not, as he is prioritizing infestors this time. ByuN finally has some tank production on the way, and like you said, because his 3rd base was so delayed, I guess it's fine that his 3rd base was a little bit delayed, because Serral, for the longest time, has been on 3 bases, but regardless, as we get into the mid-game, ByuN's gonna start to feel the pressure to get more economic damage done to try to equalize their standing.
Yeah, and hey, he goes into the main, he picks up a queen, and he may not have killed workers earlier, but he did trade very efficiently against those roaches. So ByuN, he has been fighting back quite well. It looks like he can't quite stop that 4th base from getting up and running, though. And with the arrival of those infestors, ByuN has to be that much more careful. 1 good fungal is all it takes for Serral to shut down this army.
Pretty much. 1 good fungal and a roach concave. It shouldn't be too difficult. Throw in a couple of Ravager Biles, and yeah, ByuN pretty much cannot afford to make a single mistake here when it comes to dealing with the infestors.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be going straight for the spawning pool. It looks like he will get a snipe on the spawning pool. Very good pickup at the same time. The main army of ByuN is laying siege upon the 4th base, but Serral is in position.
He's in position, but he only had 1 fungal available to him. Roaches are still able to make use of the high ground, though, and the concave to take out this army of ByuN. Tank count is about to get reset. ByuN trying desperately to pick up and evacuate, but it was not enough. GG is called, and Serral will be taking the series 3-1.
GG. ByuN was so committed with his push. We spoke earlier that his throw base was heavily delayed, which means he had to do more damage. But as you mentioned, his tank count was basically reset. His army just crumbled before the might of Serral. On top of that, Serral even found the time to go for a Ling counterattack to cripple the economy of ByuN as well. Like, Serral was
without
all over
speed,
it.
mind you.
True, it's slow things. True.
That's all you need. That's all you need when you have the Eye of Sauron, able to see everywhere on the map, and you know exactly that, hey, ByuN's army, his force, is looking pretty threatening, but that's all he has. These Lings are going to be useful. Like, you might as well just sneak them out and try to get something else done with them. And everything else is just reliant on positioning, and yeah, it's just reliant on me being able to position my Roaches and my Ravagers and nail my Fungals, which Serral absolutely was able to do that game. GG, well played. He will advance to the Grand Finals to face yet another Terran player, but a very different Terran player.
A very different Terran. Of course, it's on you, Yaku, to paint Serral in the picture of being the villain of the story.
Oh,
he
yeah.
is Sauron, and then you have ByuN and Kure, they're Frodo and Sam, making their way to Mount Doom.
I mean, you gotta agree with me. Sauron is an upgrade compared to the Night King.
True.
That was Serral's nickname for a while, until we all collectively agreed to just never call him that again.
that was a dark time. It was a dark time in history. But now we're gonna be going on a break. When we return, as you mentioned, we will have the Grand Finals. See you soon.
Yeah.